Hey, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about clairvoyance. We're going to discuss what it is and what it is not. Now, clairvoyance actually means clear seeing. So when we talk about clairvoyance, we talk about the images that you receive in your mind or the visualizations that you see in your mind's eye. This can also refer to seeing orbs and figures that other people may not see. So for a lot of clairvoyance, most of us see things in our mind's eye, but there are occasions where we see them through our physical eyes as well. So that's all clairvoyance means. It means that we are able to see the spirit world, or we're able to see something that other people cannot. Now, when most people think of a clairvoyant, they think of a psychic medium, right? That's usually what comes to their mind, or they think of someone who can look into the future. So psychic mediums are definitely clairvoyant. So people like Teresa Caputo, John Edwards, Kim Russo, and Chip Kofi, those are all legit clairvoyants, and they're also psychic mediums. So I want to point out that all psychic mediums are psychic and all psychic mediums are clairvoyant, but not all clairvoyants are psychic mediums. And as we continue to go through this course, you'll start to see why that is. Now, one of the things I want to talk to you about is why clairvoyance is not enough on its own. Really, clairvoyance, in order for it to be effective and beneficial to us, needs to be combined with one of the other clairs, or maybe several of the clairs too. A few years ago, when the Boston Marathon bombing had happened, I had been working on something on my computer, and that morning before the bombing had taken place, I received an image in my mind of an explosion. And I had absolutely no idea what that was supposed to mean. And I remember it being so vivid in my mind, and I just thought, okay, that's kind of weird. I have no idea what that was about. But I knew it meant something. I knew it had to mean something because of the way it just came into my head out of nowhere, just this clear picture of an explosion. However, this vision didn't come with any type of advice. There was no instruction. I had no idea if this was something that was actually going to happen, had happened in the past, if it was going to happen to me. Like, I had no information whatsoever to go on. I did not feel an intuitive pull. I did not gain any information. Like, no voice spoke to me and told me what was going on. All I saw was an explosion. And 2 to 3 hours later, while I was watching TV, I saw the news flash that said the Boston Marathon had been bombed, and I was in shock. And at that moment, of course, the meaning of that vision became clear to me. So why I had that vision, I'm not entirely sure, especially since there was nothing I could do to stop it. But that's just one example of why clairvoyance isn't enough in and of itself. You really need to be able to develop your other clairs with it in order for it to be effective. Now, here are the signs of a natural clairvoyant. They have very vivid dreams and daydreams. So if you have ever woken up from a dream, or if you've ever snapped out of a daydream that was insanely clear, like the vision was so clear, the colors were crisp, the vision was detailed, that's a good sign that you're a natural clairvoyant. Natural clairvoyants also have the ability to visualize things very clearly. So if I were to tell you to think of a purple tent, and that vision of a purple tent not only pops into your mind, but it's very detailed. And in addition to seeing the purple tent, you probably see where the purple tent is. You may see a park somewhere, or a camping ground, or a beach. If your mind formulated this whole story when I mentioned a purple tent, again, that's another sign that you're clairvoyant. You're a natural clairvoyant. You may also see orbs and shadows and figures that other people don't see. You may see these through your mind's eye, or you may actually see them through your physical eyes. Now, sometimes people ask, if I see them through my mind's eye, how do I know that they're actually there? That's a great question, and it is something that we're going to address a little bit later throughout the course, okay? So make sure that you take this course in its entirety, watch all of the modules and videos, and you'll get an idea of how to put all of that together, and you'll know if what you're seeing in your mind's eye, or what some of us would call our imagination, is actually real or just something that our mind conjured up on our own. Natural clairvoyants also receive visions of the future unexpectedly. But the truth is we can also get visions of the past as well, and even visions of the present. So like, let's say you're driving down the highway in your car, and you get a vision of your kid falling off of his bike and scraping his knee. Then you get into work and you get the phone call and your husband or wife or whoever is calling you and saying, yeah, you know, little Johnny, he fell off of his bike today and he scraped his knee, but he's okay and he wanted to talk to you. So those are all examples of a natural clairvoyant. You know, it's you being able to see things pretty clearly, okay? So what we are going to do now is I want you to decide, have you ever experienced any of these? Have you experienced any of these? And even if you've experienced it only once or twice, or those only one or two that sound familiar with you, that's great, because it means that you have a foundation to work with. It means that you have this ability. And guess what? Whenever we find out that we have an ability, it means that we're able to strengthen it, right? It's kind of like when you pick up a guitar or another instrument for the first time and you just kind of fool around on it, right? And if you, you know, strum your guitar the first time, or you peck at the keys on a keyboard or piano a little bit, it means that you have the ability to develop the skill necessary to play that instrument. So you can start thinking of these different clairs: clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience, all of the things we're going to go over later. You can start to think of them as instruments. These are instruments that you are going to learn how to play, and instruments require skill, right? And able to play them effectively, and to get really good at them, we have to practice, right? So I'm going to give you the tools and direction that you need to be able to practice these different instruments so that you can get really good at them. Because once you get really, really good at them, that's when magic happens. So now what we're going to do is we are going to start setting a foundation for you. And we're going to start with this picture. So what I plan on doing is using this picture to help you enhance your different clairs. So we're going to actually layer the clairs on top of this photo. And you'll see what I mean as this, as you continue to go through this course. So the very first thing that I want you to do is to simply look at this picture. That's all you got to do. So look at this picture, look at it very deeply, and I want you to memorize as much of it as you can, or not, you know, memorize it exactly, but just continue to look at it. Look at all the detail, look at all of the colors, and just really commit it to your mind as much as possible. So I am going to be quiet, and I'm going to let you just concentrate on this picture for about 30 seconds. Okay, great. So now what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes, breathe in deeply, exhale fully, and again, breathe in deeply and exhale fully. Now just go ahead and breathe normally. Relax your shoulders, relax your body as much as possible. And I want you to think about that picture that you just looked at, okay? So I want you to call that picture into your mind. And I want you to just focus on it and reconstruct it. I want you to look ahead of you. I want you to look to your left and your right, and maybe even turn around to an area that this picture doesn't even cover. So I want you to really allow your mind to build the rest of this picture for you. Okay? And I'm going to give you 30 seconds to, or I'm going to give you actually 60 seconds to do that. So I'm going to stay quiet, and I just want you to get into this picture, look around, and pay attention to all of the amazing things that you see. Okay, and go ahead and open your eyes. All right. And I want to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear was this picture in your mind? Now, if you have a pen and paper nearby, or you're watching this on your computer, and you have something that you can write with, go ahead and open up whatever writing software you have. And I want you to go ahead and make a little note, and I want you to put down clairvoyance, and I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How clear was this picture? Go ahead and rate yourself right now. How clear was this picture in your mind? Okay. And I also want you to ask yourself, did anything stand out to you? You know, did the water stand out to you? Did the sky stand out? When you looked around, was there anything else that stood out to you? And if so, what were they? Go ahead and write those down and take a moment to be proud of yourself for this, because just by indulging in this one exercise, you're already working your clairvoyance. You're already enhancing your ability to gain information intuitively through different visions. So, good job. All right. Now, some ways that you can actually enhance your clairvoyance may be a little surprising to you. Now, let me explain to you something real quick before we go over this list. When it comes to our clairs, we want to provide our mind with as many sensations as we can, so that our intuition and even the spirit world have a good library of different sources, of different information, of different experiences that they can pull up for us when they are trying to communicate with us. And so that's why one of the things you're going to see on this list on how to enhance your clairvoyance is actually watching TV. Now, when I say watching TV, I don't mean that you are watching a reality TV show, right? This is not an excuse to become addictive to mindless TV. When I talk about watching TV, this is more or less about watching maybe different documentaries, watching National Geographic, watching anything that's really going to stimulate your ability to visualize different things around you. Just, you're really wanting to put different images in your mind so that spirit and your intuition can work with them later on. I don't know about you, but I've never seen an explosion in real life, and I hope I never see an explosion in real life. Never, ever, ever. But it's because of television, it's because of TV that I know what an explosion looks like. And that's why when it came to my example of the Boston Marathon, when I saw that explosion in my mind, I knew what it was that I was looking at. I knew it was an explosion. Didn't know where or when or why. But, I knew it was an explosion. And so If I hadn't been watching TV ever, if I had never watched TV, I would have never known what an explosion could look like. I wouldn't know what it is. That vision could have popped into my mind and I would have been totally confused, like, what is that? That's so strange, right? So by watching TV, you are giving your mind more tools and more information to work with. So, again, this is not a license to watch TV 8, 12, 24 hours a day, but I am letting you know that watching TV can actually have its benefits when it comes to clairvoyance, okay? So, continue to watch your TV, have some fun, go to the movies, watch Star Wars or whatever, because even Star Wars can come up as something that spirit will use with you. Your intuition can use Star Wars, believe it or not. So, just be mindful of how much you're watching, because of course too much isn't very good. And we also want to be very mindful of what we're putting into our minds in the first place, right? So yeah, so watching TV actually can be good for your clairvoyance. Drawing, painting, and coloring are also great for clairvoyance because it allows you to stimulate your creativity and your visualizations. So this can really help to enhance your clairvoyance and even your other gifts as well. Because when you draw and when you paint and color, don't you go into kind of a trance, right? You get into this really warm, creative, meditative state. And when we draw and when we color and when we are creative in these ways, it really opens us up to receive more intuitive information from the universe. So drawing, painting, or coloring are great ways to work with your clairvoyance. Looking through art books, those are great because they, again, put more images into your brain that intuition and spirit can work with. So these are good for the same reason watching TV is great. And of course, visual awareness of your surroundings. So when you are in your bedroom or when you go outside or you go to an amusement park or a new place, paying attention to your surroundings, paying attention to the color of the plants that are outside, paying attention to the different colors of the houses that you're walking past, and paying attention to just whatever magnificent structures and statues that you may be around. Pay attention to all of it, right? The more that you start to build your visual awareness, the better your clairvoyance is going to be. So try to take a few minutes every day when you're in a different environment to really just kind of clear your mind, look around, and pay attention to what's around you. It's a wonderful way to start working with your clairvoyance.